Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sideline Shenanigans podcast today with Jacob Maggard
Dalton Phillips.
and as you can hear, I'm a little bit under the weather, a little bit sick, but I'm a little bit better than I was. That's why we're filming not to release on Monday, but to release on Tuesday. We'll dive right into these. Of course, like I said before, if you guys like the videos, like, subscribe, follow along, helps out a ton. And just keeps pushing these out to everybody. And actually, we're up to 70 subscribers now. We're at 70, trying to get to that 100 number. We might do some sort of
We hit that 100 mark. Who knows what I'm gonna do?
who knows what Dalton will do. Might do a backflip. I mean, there might be something crazy happen. But rolling on into this first set of picks, or actually games we didn't pick this week, you got Arkansas going and having to play Memphis, who now set themselves up to be potentially a group of five team that we're talking about at the end of the year to make a playoff run. I mean, USF, Memphis, Tulane, you got to think those are the teams that have a huge advantage right now on everybody else. And Memphis getting this massive win over an SEC team. Dalton, when you look at this score, obviously a really, really close game, and you see Memphis won it in the fourth quarter. What's
Yes.
your opinions on this one?
I actually was big on this Arkansas team. I thought this team with Taylor Green was really, really
Yeah.
good, and he struggled in this game, and I feel like that's the reason they lost this game was because of his struggling. And this Memphis team is no joke. They were last year they were really, really good,
Yeah.
predicted to be one of the better non-conference, non-power teams, and they end up being one of them. And I didn't expect them to be this good this year, but they are showing that me proving me different here.
Yeah, and again, Ryan Silverfield, a coach, has been mentioned as a guy that could go over to Virginia Tech. Personally, not my favorite pick because we already know what happens when we hire a coach from Memphis, Justin Fuente. But I will say Silverfield has clearly been a really good coach at Memphis. He's got them in the right direction. They are succeeding. As you can tell, quickly looking at these statistics, you said it, Green, two interceptions. You just can't do that against Memphis, who is a very good, kind of tough team. You can see they ran the ball extremely well. 147 rushing yards on only 12 carries. Now they're able to get it going through the air with their quarterback Brendan Lewis playing pretty well. So overall, you just saw Memphis able to answer late, being down that huge hole in the first half. Again, Arkansas had a great second quarter, but in the second half, Memphis was really the better football team, and I still think Arkansas is a decent football team. But this is a really impressive win for Memphis. Definitely jumpstarts their season going forward. Looking at our next game here, and this might be the biggest game in the ACC so far this season. Clemson is now 0-2 in ACC play. The odds of them making a conference title run is pretty low now. You got to expect that Miami, Georgia Tech, Florida State, and maybe even Louisville, all those teams have to lose games to even give Clemson a chance. So you're pretty much thinking this might be it for Clemson on their odds to make a playoff run, which is pretty wild. This was a team that who knows? Maybe they're the Florida State of 2025. I don't know that that's really going to happen because I think there's roster talent on this roster is better than Florida State's. But this is actually not a bad performance from Klubnik. He goes for 360 passing yards, three touchdowns. They do establish the ground game, but they can't make a stop. And every opportunity they had to get things going, they just stopped. They slowed down. They never put anything together. They didn't put drives together. They punted a lot. And you just see Syracuse playing their style of football. And obviously, Fran Brown talked his crap all week about people coming and stealing his recruits and that he was going to show what happens when you try to steal his recruits. Makes me think Clemson might have been in that, trying to go talk to some of the guys that have already committed to Syracuse, and Syracuse come out and shut them up. So, Dalton, what's your thoughts here?
Yeah, this makes Tennessee's win against Syracuse to look a whole lot better, in my
Yes.
opinion. This Syracuse team is no joke. I thought this team was going to be, honestly, was a kind of a just a pushover team at the beginning of the year, but they haven't lost since us, and that's huge for us at Tennessee. And
Yeah.
this Syracuse team is like competing, going to be competing in the ACC now because Clemson was your top dog, apparently. Them and Miami were like your two tops at the beginning of the season, and now you're looking at Clemson not even in that top five conversation right now.
No.
They're right there at that five spot, I think.
Yeah, yeah, it's really tough for them to find a way into that
Yeah.
top five. I mean, you lost to Georgia Tech already, which it hurts you there,
Yeah.
and now you lose to Syracuse, so you've already got two ACC losses. Like I said, Syracuse definitely looks legit. They're coached extremely well. Angeli was a phenomenal transfer quarterback get coming over from Notre Dame. He played really well in this game, and Yassine Willis got it going on the ground. Overall, this Syracuse team is definitely something to look forward to for the rest of the year, and their schedule isn't crazy. So maybe we see another 10-win Syracuse team this year. Diving into the games that we picked here, and starting off with one that I think we both were on the side of TCU. I can't really remember to be honest, but I know I picked over on TCU. But I just think that Josh Hoover, the way he's played early in the season, it clearly set him up to succeed in this one. Has an unbelievable game, 379 passing yards, five touchdowns, the one interception being his only mistake. Just a really, really great performance from him. Again, that high-powered passing offense, along with pretty good running attack, which you talked about last week. They have a lot of backs that can get going. And then on the other side for SMU, Kevin Jennings plays pretty well, but you just can't have those two interceptions. It is what cost your team the game. And yet again, we see him do nothing on the ground. And last year, if you watch this team play, not that he's Lamar Jackson, but the way he played kind of reminded you of that. He had that escapability in the pocket. He would make plays, and anytime they needed something, he could extend a play and create something, and they just haven't had that this year. And it doesn't look like SMU is going to be near as good as they were last year. Whereas TCU, man, they might be favorites in conference play. Dalton, what's your thoughts here?
Yeah, this TCU team is starting to remind me of the Max Duggan TCU
Yep.
team. This is getting he give me hints of that team, and this SMU team is nowhere near as good as they were last year.
No,
Last year, this team was a playoff team, and this is not a playoff team right now.
no.
Unless they can severely change something.
Yeah, and again, they have opportunities to bounce back, but you've got two losses already, and that really hurts your chances unless you were going to win the conference. So, and again, like you said with TCU, it does kind of remind you of those Duggan team because they have a quarterback that is really, really good in leading them to their victories. You go down and look at the receiving stats, and Eric McAllister just has an unreal day. 8 catches, 254 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, that is. Like we talk about Jeremiah Smith all the time. We talk about other guys in college football. This kid just had a day. I mean, there's probably no better performance in college football this week than 8 catches, 254 yards, 3 touchdowns. Kind of like I said before, Hoover's really good, but he strapped the team on his back and said, "Just throw it to me every time." Really, really great game from him. And overall, this TCU team looks really, really good going forward in the rest of the season. Moving on to our next one here, Texas Tech going on the road to Utah. And Texas Tech looks like the team to beat in the Big 12. We just talked about TCU having that opportunity to look really good in conference play. But Texas Tech, absolute dominant win on the road at Utah, one of the tougher places to go play in the Big 12. And you see, it really wasn't an insane performance. Baron Morton goes out, and Will Hammond comes in and then destroys Utah's defense. They end up having a 24-point fourth quarter. Will Hammond led a really incredible fourth quarter, like I said, but also just led his team once they lost their starting quarterback in Baron Morton. Is there an opportunity that Will Hammond plays going forward? I don't know. Baron Morton is a really good quarterback, but this performance, 13 for 16, 169, 2 touchdowns, a 96.3 QBR, very, very promising when you have that good of a backup quarterback. And on top of all of his passing, he adds 8 for 61 on the ground. So just overall led this team in that fourth quarter and second half in general. And on the other side for Utah, Devin Dampier does not play anywhere near the game he has to play. You see 25 completions and only 162 yards. That's a lot of dump downs, a lot of short routes, and just a lot of success through the air in this one. Does have the 2 interceptions, which is really rough, and they don't get the ground game going at all. Texas Tech, they have proved that that defense they built through the portal is really, really good. They're able to shut down the run game. Their front seven is one of the best in college football right now, and they're able to stop Devin Dampier through the air as well. Just a dominant victory for Texas Tech. Dalton, what's your thoughts here?
Yeah, the Texas Tech is now my Big 12 favorites.
Yes.
Before it was Utah, now it's Texas Tech. I mean, this was a significant win, especially on the road. To win by 24 points on the road against who you're competing with in the conference there. And I mean, it was a terrible game from Devin Dampier. And I mean, I feel like that's what you lose the game at, in my opinion.
Yeah, and when you bring in a quarterback like him, you expect more dynamic attack, and he just didn't really provide that in this one. Didn't get the ground game going, didn't have
Yeah.
any balls get going. So again, just not enough. And you see Texas Tech across the board playing really, really good football. Moving on to our next one here, Auburn going on the road to Oklahoma in the Jackson Arnold Bowl. And of course, Oklahoma gets it done. But you look at this score and it can be a little bit deceiving. To me, I think Oklahoma actually kind of controlled this game and they only won by 7. But again, their defense is incredible. I don't think there's anybody arguing that this is one of the best defenses in the entire country. They may have the best defensive front in football. On top of that, they have a quarterback in John Mateer, who is, to me, the Heisman front runner right now. He brings you a really good passing attack, but also most games he can bring you that ground game. And truthfully, Oklahoma didn't really get the ground game going at all, and they're still able to win. So that shows you how good their defense and their passing attack can be. On the other side, of course, you look at Auburn. Jackson Arnold does have a really good game in his comeback game, 21 for 32, 220 and a touchdown. Doesn't get going on the ground at all because he was sacked a ton in this game. They were constantly in the backfield. I think that I'm going to check to make sure. 9 sacks, 14 TFLs is unbelievable from this Oklahoma defense. This is why I say this is probably the best defense in the entire country right now. That is an unreal stat line against a Auburn team that looked pretty good coming into this one. So if they got that going all year, who cares if you can run the football? If you're going to get in the backfield 9 times and sack them that much and get 14 TFLs, it's just an incredible overall performance from Oklahoma. Dalton, what's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's insane how Oklahoma was able to control the line of scrimmage in this game, especially how much they were in the backfield and messing with Jackson Earl's game. I mean, Jackson Earl didn't play bad, but
Mhm.
if you're getting sacked 9 times in the game, you're going to lose. I don't care who you're playing against.
Exactly.
You can't have your quarterback get sacked that much and expect to win. Even though this was a close game score wise, I do think that this was by far Oklahoma's game.
Yeah, and the last talking point here in this one is going to be the controversial calls that were not made in this one. Some people would say that Auburn, again, a game that they could have won, those two calls that were made could have been what changed this football game. One of which was a play where they ran Isaiah Centenia to the sideline and acted like he was going to go out of bounds, and then he took off running for a touchdown and scored on a wide open touchdown pass. That is technically, if you remember, Johnny Manziel did that back in the day. That is technically not allowed anymore. That is kind of there's a rule about it. Like if you go over
You
there,
can't give yourself up, and then it's
exactly.
the same thing as fake sliding. Same thing as
Yeah,
giving
you
yourself up.
can't like
Yes.
if you're gonna go to the sideline and they know you're doing it, then it's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
and they don't pay attention to it. But he ran off
Yeah.
the field as they were like allowing substitutions. So yeah, again, that one we don't. I mean, again, they didn't call it, so it was a touchdown. And then there was a pass interference that should have clearly been called on Oklahoma, which would have led to the chance for Auburn to score a touchdown. Again, I think Oklahoma is the better football team, so I'm okay with the result of the game. But if I was an Auburn fan, you don't get those calls late in that game because they probably did change this one, or at least keep it from going to overtime. Looking at our next one here, and Ole Miss absolutely dominates Tulane in what was probably Tulane's far, far away from a good performance for them. Jake Retzlaff does not get going through the air at all. He does have a pretty good day on the ground, but you just can't really run the ball when you're down by as much as they were down by. And then on the other side for Ole Miss, Trinidad Chambliss is the starter for the rest of the year if it's me. I don't see how you don't start this kid. He's won you back-to-back weeks where he was really, really good. I mean, he rushed for 112 yards and threw for 307. If this kid had been starting since day one, who knows if he would be the Heisman candidate right now? Again, this kid transferred over from Ferris State Division II football and is incredible. I mean, he is easily the best quarterback coming over from that level of football and dominating in an Ole Miss team that is, again, Lane Kiffin just knows what he's doing. I mean, these offenses are so dynamic. Keywan Lacey gets going as well on the ground, and Tulane just looked completely lost. They just didn't have the talent to hang in this one, and obviously that was proven by how dominant they were. Dalton, what's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this was just Ole Miss running off, and I really did think that this Tulane team could upset Ole Miss here. But Jake Retzlaff didn't have the game I was expecting him to have. They shut him down completely, and Trinidad Chambliss is insanely good. I think this guy would be your Heisman favorite if he would have been starting since day one, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
I mean, again, think about the stats he could have put up in those two
Yeah,
games, where he'd be sitting around, maybe 1,000 plus passing yards, 400 or 500 rushing. You're talking about a guy that would be easily in that Heisman contention.
yeah.
And again, I don't think he's thrown an interception yet in his 2 games. So really, really good at protecting the ball and making plays, and that's exactly what you need on a really good offense. Moving on to our next one here, Michigan going on the road to Nebraska and getting a huge win in Big Ten play. Of course, this game was full of a lot of twists and turns. One of the coolest plays of this game was Nebraska throwing up a Hail Mary before halftime and scoring a touchdown to tie it up going into halftime. And then late in the game, Michigan's ability to just run the ball, control the game there, and just able to chew that clock away fast enough to get out of there with a win. Obviously, Nebraska on the other side, I've heard some bad talk about Dylan Raiola. I'm not sure why. He throws for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, only has the one interception. I don't think he's the best quarterback in the country, and some people would hype him up like that. But he's clearly a good quarterback. You don't put up 300 passing yards and 3 touchdowns on a Michigan defense unless you're a good quarterback. I don't think that this is Nebraska's year to win the Big Ten, but I do still think that they can fight in the conference. And again, maybe they end up there at the end of the season looking at like a top 20 ranking and maybe fighting for that chance to make the playoff. But this one just kind of showed you how strong Michigan is overall.
Yeah, this Michigan team is strong behind Bryce Underwood, and this guy's even with him not having the greatest game. you having that rushing attack in your backfield with Justice Haynes, just Justice Haynes by himself is excellent. And then you have Jordan Marshall going for 80 yards also.
Yep.
So this team is just like that. That's the Michigan teams I think of. You think of the quarterback not doing so good, but he still has the ability to not have a turnover, which is what they struggled with a lot last year. The few passes the quarterbacks would take would be interceptions or they turn the ball over a lot. But if you have a quarterback like Bryce Underwood, that's gonna be conservative with the ball
Yep.
and but still has the ability to run the ball with him also. That's why I think this Michigan team was very good. I actually picked Nebraska in this because I felt like Dylan Raiola and that home field advantage would help out, which they didn't play that bad of a game. It's
No, they
just
didn't.
like this is just like a good football game. I mean,
Yeah.
back and forth, back and forth. I thought at halftime it was that Hail Mary at halftime. I thought that was Nebraska's time to just come out at halftime and absolutely just clutch up and win because
Yeah.
I figured they'd have all the momentum. But Michigan surprised me here.
Yeah, and again, Michigan, like you said, the biggest difference between this team and last year's team is they have a quarterback under center that scares defenses. It doesn't necessarily mean he has to have this ridiculous game, but you just can't send the entire team every play.
Yep.
You got to sit back. You got to play some pass defense here and there because he can make plays. Now, again, is he ready to be this superstar Heisman level quarterback? No, clearly not. He's not there yet. But he's clearly got some ability, and his rushing ability also adds a lot to this team. He's able to get a touchdown on the ground, like you said, Jordan Marshall with that long of 54, and then Justice Haynes. I mean, breaks off a 75-yarder, has 149 yards on the day. I think there's a real argument that he's up there with a Keytron Allen, a Nick Singleton, and of course a Jeremiah Love. Obviously, I think this guy is really throwing his name in the hat to be the best back in college football, and clearly the Michigan offense works when he's got it going on the ground. Moving on to our next game here, South Carolina going on the road against Missouri. Of course, Missouri, we talked about their quarterback play being the biggest thing this year. And Bo Prabula, he didn't really have to have an incredible football game. He does make the one mistake with the interception, but overall, a pretty solid game. The difference maker in this one is Ahmad Hardy. 22 carries, 138 yards, averaging 6 per carry, has a touchdown, breaks off a 38-yard run. You look on the other side for South Carolina, they do absolutely nothing on the ground. I mean, they have zero rushing attack. Sellers is not able to get going. Part of that probably due to his injury that he's facing right now. And then you look at the passing attack for them, and Lenore Sellers had an incredible game. 18 for 28, 302 yards, 2 touchdowns through the air. And through that first half, it looked like South Carolina could really win this one. But late in the game, Missouri, again, able to establish that ground attack, especially with Hardy and Roberts having great games. They're able to just get it done. I think that this is a really good Missouri team, but also they have an extremely easy schedule in conference play. There's a real world where this team goes 11-1 or 10-2, and they might even be the best team in the conference or be even in the top three and still make the playoffs due to getting some of these early wins, but also not having an incredibly tough schedule the rest of the way. Dalton, your thoughts here?
Yeah, this South Carolina team cannot do this the rest of the year. If they cannot run the ball, they will not win another game, in my opinion. Like Lenora Sellers is a great quarterback, don't get me wrong. But if you can't run the ball at all, like total, they have, let's see, 14. They have 19 total rushing yards.
Yeah,
No,
without
that's -9. Okay,
yeah,
we'll go with the
that's
negatives.
of course
We'll go
with
with
the sack
-9.
yardage. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not counting the sacks. That's ridiculous. That is awful. And then your defense gives up 285 rushing yards. So you cannot do that. And this was a close game. If you have a little bit of a running game, you might actually win this game. Like if you have like 50 or 60 yards, you might have won this game
yeah.
because that would have been a field position thing. And then it's just crazy to me how they were such a good running team last year, but nobody else is stepping up to fill Rocket Sanders' spot. And I feel like that's the main reason they're losing so much right now.
Yeah, and that again, that shows the value of having that good of a running back. I mean, it
Yeah.
clearly makes a difference on this team, which is expected to come in and be even better this year. But they've obviously declined when it comes to overall play. Now 0-2 in the SEC. You got to think there's a real conversation to be had about them having no chance to win the conference. Again, this conference is going to beat up on each other, but South Carolina has a lot of really tough games left. I highly doubt they can move on and be conference champions without unlocking some unreal rushing game that they just don't have right now. Part of that being Racel Faison does not make the roster until 3 weeks before the season starts. Wasn't cleared due to eligibility waivers. And Oscar Attaway just not having the kind of season you want him to have. And then, like you said, this sack yardage is killer. -28 total yards. And that's because they have 5 sacks, 8 TFLs, getting in the backfield, wrecking havoc. And of course, Missouri, once again, what are they relying on? They're relying on Ahmed Hardy, my favorite transfer running back in college football. Really great. And hey, I know, again, it's hard to argue this when we saw a running back do what he did last year and not win a Heisman. But this year, the quarterback play isn't unbelievable. There's nobody that's doing something insane. Now, John Mateer, he's on pace to have a really good year. After that, there's no quarterbacks having just incredible seasons. Throw Matt Hardy in that conversation of being a potential Heisman candidate, especially if his team's sitting at 11 and 1 at the end of the year going to the playoffs. Looking at our next game here, Florida going on the road to play Miami. And again, Miami shows why they are that good this season. Carson Beck does not have the day that he needs to have to beat really good teams, and it does not matter. They are able to get the ground game going with Mark Fletcher and Charmar Brown. We talked about Charmar Brown last year. I loved him when he was playing at NDSU. Now he's coming over, scoring 2 touchdowns for Miami on the big stage, making a real difference for this team. But on top of that, Mark Fletcher. I mean, look at the ground game, man. 46 carries in this one. If you'd have told me Miami carried the ball 46 times last year, I'd have said, how bad did they lose? So, again, this is really, really impressive from this team. And on the other side for Florida, DJ Lagway has 61 passing yards in an entire football game. First things first, I think that shows you how good this Miami defense is. This is probably the single most legit defense in the ACC, and there's a real argument might be the best defense in the country. They're definitely up there with the Oklahomas of the world, and then up there with like LSU. But on top of that, it shows you that Lagway, like me and you have both said, is clearly not ready to lead his team. Part of that is, I think, injuries. Now, if you looked at some headlines before the season started, he was facing 2 or 3 different injuries, and they were always reporting, he'll be okay, don't worry about it, no big deal. Clearly, it's a big deal. He's having a rough, rough season, and again, if they fire the coach and everything falls apart, where does DJ Lagway go in the portal? I think that that's a clear option for him. And again, this guy has a ton of talent. He proved it last year when he went 7-1 when he was healthy. So this is a big talking point in college football for DJ Lagway. And on the other side for Miami, they don't even have to have Carson Beck going, and they get a huge win. Dalton, what's your thoughts here?
Yeah, this was DJ Lagway just not being able to perform here, and that this Miami team is really, really good. DJ Lagway, I was saying before the game, I seen a video of him walking into the stadium, and they were looking at him, and he was laughing, and I was like, that's kind of funny because everybody's laughing at this guy right now because he
Yeah.
just had 5 interceptions last week, and it's just like I don't understand how like this Florida team doesn't realize that he's not the option. I think you need to go to a backup at this point because he has struggled so much. Just do something, try to figure it out,
Yeah, and maybe you light
in
a
my
spark under
opinion.
your team if you do that.
Yeah,
I have no idea. I just don't.
yeah,
I don't see how this team wins any games with their
no,
schedule, many games. I think that they might finish underneath bowl record contention with 6-6.
yeah.
This is a really talented Florida defense. They proved that in this one, able to kind of shut down Carson Beck and not let him get going. But of course, that run game gets going for Miami. And then you go down and look at Miami's defense, and the player that has to be mentioned because this is a guy that, as a Titans fan, sitting at 0-3 right now, we're keeping an eye on this guy in Ruben Bain Jr. This is, in my opinion, the most talented edge rusher in college football right now. He brings you the sack numbers. He doesn't bring you crazy. Of course, he doesn't bring you crazy sack numbers, but he's doing it. But the real thing he shows is his ability to be an athlete. He's able to wreak havoc on every play. He can drop back in coverage. He already has an interception this year. But he's a freak off the edge. I mean, he is double teamed constantly, and if he's not double teamed, he's getting singled by a tackle, and then the running back's chipping. So it is so hard to block this guy. He's going to be a difference maker from this team all year. And again, this Miami team, I'm not a Miami fan, man, but this team is really, really good. And again, I think they're probably got a really good argument for being maybe the best team in college football right now. Looking at our next one here, Illinois going on the road to Indiana, and really, truly not a lot to talk about here, other than the fact that Fernando Mendoza is clearly the leader of this Indiana football team. Kurt Cignetti, all he does is win. He proves that once again. And Indiana is a top 15 football team, no doubt, after the absolute domination of number 9 Illinois, who was probably a little overranked. This is really strong performance. And again, you look at the other side for Illinois. Altmaier doesn't have a crazy good game. It's not really that horrible. But the big thing is the sack yardage. He was going down a ton in this one. Indiana proves that on both sides of the ball, they are a phenomenal football team. Dalton, what's your thoughts here?
Yeah, this was just a showcase for Indiana. I did not think this Indiana team was that good, but they really proved me wrong there. I thought this Illinois team was going to come in there and I thought they were going to like not like make this a really good ball game, and it was terrible. Like 63-10 is awful. I don't care who you're playing
Yeah.
against. You could be playing against an NFL team and I would still be upset. And but no, that's crazy for a top 10 team. Supposedly, I think this Illinois team was overrated,
Yes.
and this Indiana team was very underrated in my opinion. And now I'm seeing this because this is ridiculous. Great play by Fernando Mendoza too. And he's filling in the shoes really really good
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
again, Curtis Rourke had a great season last year in
yeah.
Indiana. Obviously, led them to the first playoff appearance they've ever had, I think, since we've had a playoff format. And of course, Mendoza transferred over. Everybody said this guy's really good. He's going to be a difference maker in the Signetti offense. He clearly is. He had his lead target from Indiana last year, Elijah Surratt, coming back to play with him. And then Omar Cooper, the guy that's been his lead this year, both having great games as well. Overall, this Indiana team is really, really strong. And again, I think that they've got a lot to look forward to as this season goes on. Moving on to our next one here, Virginia Tech finally gets a win. I think part of this being the fact that the team was a little bit more excited to play here, but also I've heard some rumors coming from maybe, again, sources that I really trust that's saying that this was the best week of practice they've had all year. The best week of practice they've had in 3 years because, again, Pride just handled things a little bit differently. Again, a guy that I was a fan of, I wanted him to succeed, but he just didn't. And obviously, Tech is able to get things done against what is not a good Wofford offense. They're horrible on offense. Their defense actually grades out as one of the better in the FCS, surprising enough. They've lost a lot of really close football games before this one. So, is it a positive sign? 100%. Kyron Drones has one of his best passing games in his career at Virginia Tech, especially 307 yards, 2 touchdowns, only has the 5 incompletions. Some of those ended up being drops. So, overall, maybe a confidence builder for him. I don't think Tech's season is just completely a wash now after seeing this performance. I think they can beat like a Wake Forest. I think they're obviously going to have a chance against Virginia just because that's who we always have a chance against. But again, still not a lot to look forward to. And then again, the storyline for Tech overall, PJ Prelo had an awesome day. 7 for 65, a lot of screens, but also he was able to get out of the backfield and just make guys miss. I mean, there was a lot of plays where he would catch it 2 or 3 yards downfield, but then juke out a couple guys and get 10 yards. So really, really impressive performance from him. I loved Aiden Green's play. I was actually super surprised by Devin Alves, a guy that moved from the defensive side of the ball over to offense. Also had a really nice day, and Marcellus Hawkins establishing the ground game. Of course, again, this just overall really good performance. You're supposed to do this to Wofford, but at least we won a game the way we were supposed to win a game against a bad football team. Finally, Dalton, your thoughts here?
Yeah, this was a good win for Virginia Tech. I honestly was wondering like if they would even win this ball game at that point, and they came out and actually played a little bit how they're supposed to.
Yeah.
Like they look like they're Division I football players now. And PJ Prelude, by the way, playing him in high school, that dude can move. He
Yeah.
goes every way, which way he wants to. He's nuts. I'm glad they also got a rushing attack somewhat established.
Yeah.
Like you had 154 yards. That's not amazing, like as a whole team, but that's a lot better than what you were doing in the weeks
Yes.
past. I know you're playing way worse competition, but getting that rolling a little bit helps out a lot too.
Yeah, and again, you have a test this week, actually.
Yeah.
NC State on the road is a team that their defense has not looked good at all this year, but their offense is scoring a lot of points. So you're going to get a real test. Can your defense step up and make any kind of plays? And I don't think NC State's this unbeatable team where you're going to go on the road and just get blown out. Now, do I think they're better than us? Clearly. We have not had a good season at all. But is there at least a little bit more hope after this game and at least going out and performing to a level that was fun to watch? Especially because I'm going to be at every game. I was there. And at least this one was really fun. Kyron had a game where he finally looked confident, and it wasn't in the beginning of that game. He still looked timid. But as the game got going, he realized I'm better than these guys. And it created a confidence level for him, and I think that's why he played so much. Philip Montgomery is a quarterback guy, so he knows what it's like when your quarterback's struggling. I think he knows that Drones just had to get it going. So I'm glad that he was able to get him going in this one. And again, this I think is his second best passing performance in his career at Tech. Last but not least, on the front of Virginia Tech, we have hired Bruce Arians to go under and do our coach search and our GM search. He was on Pat McAfee's show this morning talking about how he thinks Tech is probably the most enticing job available right now. And I think with the recent news that we are going to get the BOV budget boost on September 30th and make this program the second highest paid team in the ACC, which is crazy. And it actually puts us inside the top 15 in money in all of college football. So when you're able to do that, you're able to create something and maybe get things going. Go out and hire a really good coaching staff, which I think is the first step in succeeding in the future. So hopefully, Tech looking up. can get things done this year, maybe go out and win 3 or 4 games and salvage what's a really rough start and make it just at least an okay season. And again, with the circumstances, I think 3 or 4 wins would probably be all right when you lost the way you did the first 3 weeks of this one. Moving on to our last game here. Obviously, not a ton to talk about other than the fact that UAB was able to do a little bit in the second half. More of that was against Tennessee's backups. And obviously, you still saw Joey Aguilar have a solid football game. Does have that one more mistake and a low QBR, but I'm not really worried about it. I think he's looked great so far this season. I think he's clearly the option that's going to lead them in the future at Tennessee. And we talked about Jalen Kitna on the other side for UAB. He had a really good game passing, 364 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. And Tennessee's weakness at the corner position showed just a little bit, but they're going to get those guys back. And when they do, man, Tennessee's defense is going to be a little bit scary, especially because the way they were able to play with Georgia and hang in there, who I think might be one of the best teams in the conference this year. Still really, really good play overall. Got the ground game going and had the passing attack. Dalton, overall, what's your thoughts here?
Yeah, so it's a good game just to like recover from that Georgia loss,
Yeah.
and then like you just gotta like this is the kind of games you gotta have. 24 points is a little bit scary, but that is against our second and third stringers. I understand that, and I'm very excited to get our corners back. Like you said, I'm very excited to see what we can be then, because that's the kind of team that can beat the Alabamas and the Georgias of the world. Because we play, you see that we should have beat Georgia then.
Yeah.
What can we do now when we have our starting corners and prevent the Georgia team from passing on us like they did? And I just like this and Joey Aguilar is really impressing me with this offense. He's kind of like going through and playing like very similar to him and Hooker. He
Yeah.
has the athletic ability that Hendon Hooker had. They also had the same past. Like they both went to schools and like were good players, but they weren't the best players like for their scheme. I like Hendon Hooker wasn't Tech. Tech was
Yeah.
not
It just didn't work for
Hendon
him.
Hooker's best option. But when he transferred to Tennessee, he became a Heisman level player, and that's what I'm seeing out of Joey Aguilar. And this team looks excellent in my opinion.
Yeah, and for the future of Tennessee, just going down the
Yep.
road onto future seasons, even beyond this
Yep.
one, I think there's real talks to be had that Tennessee just needs to go the route of a transfer quarterback every year. I think that there's a real argument that this system is built to succeed when you have a veteran presence that can
Yep.
lead the offense. It's also a system that if you put a guy that has some experience, it is so quarterback friendly. I mean, it is extremely QB friendly and leads to success. I think that's really, really good for their future. And the chances that Tennessee can keep staying at this high level, that stays with the way they run their offense here. Thank you guys so much for joining us this week. Obviously, a little bit shorter than normal because I'm a little under the weather. But obviously, we'll get rolling again on Thursday. We'll have our pick'ems come out. Dalton, again, this is your chance if you want to add anything else.
Yeah. Go Vols.
Obviously, Dalton throws in the go Vols. I'll throw in the go Hokies. You got the VT flag in the back. Obviously, we got a game this week that can be a real test to see if there's any positives left for the rest of this season. But the big thing for Tech is watch out for that GM hire. Watch out for the chance that we go out and get a head coach during the season to try to answer back in that portal in December. Again, thank you guys so much for joining us. Like, subscribe, follow along. Helps out, boosting the channel out a ton. And again, we love you guys. Peace.
Peace.